Hello, I'm Toycat, and let me just level with you at the start of this video. There has not been much Minecraft news in this last week. There was the snapshot 21W11A, a brand new 1.17 snapshot, but it only really included a few features, the most notable of which was changes to the lightning rod. And although those changes are cool, I think the fact that you can make these underwater sea mines is pretty cool too. This was from Reddit, by the way, very nice little design. But otherwise, the biggest news was that we finally know how 1.17 is going to work on older worlds, and that brings us into the questions, the titular Q of Q&A Saturday, because Ryan asks, hang on, is it a wall of bedrock surrounding your old chunks, or is it solid bedrock underneath your old chunks? And obviously that first example is very terrifying. That's what people picture when they picture the Nether. However, to simplify this one for you, here is a diagram put out by Mega Spud, one of the Minecraft community managers. On the left there, you can see some 1.17 terrain, and on the right there, you can see some 1.16 terrain. And because the latest Bedrock beta actually made them cross-playable with each other, this is what it will look like if you take your old world, pretend on the right there is your existing Minecraft world, and then you explore new chunks like on the left over there. You will get this weird bedrock wall that will have some weird issues, but only in your new chunks. If you never explore a new chunk ever, which is possible, some people never want to explore new areas, they're weird people, but you know they exist, then you will never have to find that weird bedrock wall, and that bedrock wall will only be findable at the exact block where new terrain starts. So I would go as far as to say this is the most seamless version. Most people won't notice it. I would have loved if that bedrock wall on the right there, again, that's so much wasted space that I'm sure is taking up terrain data and no doubt performance requirements. I would have loved it if it was void instead. That feels like it would have been a great solution. Building underneath the void of your old wall would have been amazing, but I see why they did this solution, and now you see it too, because that's how diagrams work, am I right? With that said, let's move into the second question, because Atlee Christensen asks, will we be able to build higher on explored parts of old worlds, and what about the clouds? Will they appear higher in the sky or at their current height? So as of right now, they have not confirmed if they are increasing the height of clouds, but it seems ridiculous to leave them at their current height. Now that the max building height is 320, how can we have clouds be, you know, basically 200 blocks below that? It's just absurd, and I would imagine they are being raised, but especially because we have terrain which can sometimes reach almost 300 blocks as it is. So yeah, what's the deal with that? Are they going to be raising the cloud height? I would imagine so. We haven't seen that officially confirmed, but it is officially confirmed because of the backwards compatibility thing that you will be able to build up to 320 blocks even on old worlds. If you have something that is currently up to Y256, let's say a sugarcane farm. Let's say you're a madman who's farmed sugarcane from 0 to 256. Now you'll be able to farm from 0 to 320. However, if you want to utilize the full world height, you have to find a new chunk where you can go from -64 to 320. So if you were a madman who'd farmed sugarcane and it was your dream to have the tallest sugarcane farm that could be made in Minecraft, then you wouldn't be able to use your existing one. You'd have to find new chunks, and that would break your heart if that were you, of course, which of course it's not. That's ridiculous. Who would even mention that? So with that said, let's move into this third question, because this tree asks, Toycat, how can I prevent house fires? And you got a good question here, Mr. Tree. You would like to prevent fires, and as would I. And let me remind you of the great statistic that more than 99% of house fires happen to people who aren't subscribed to the IBX Toycat YouTube channel. Legally, I can't go into any more detail about what that might entail, but it does seem like if you want to reduce your risk the most, using traditional logic, which, you know, there's no flaws in traditional logic, and not using any form of judgment or scientific calculus to work things out. And in that case, you should subscribe to the IBX Toycat YouTube channel. It will prevent house fires, probably. And with that said, let's go into the next question, which comes in from Harry Stewart, who says, can we talk about how broken Minecraft's censorship program is? And yes, finally, I've been meaning to talk about this forever. I mean, for real here, Minecraft's censorship is... And don't get me started on the fact that it's also... You know, I've been wanting to get that off my chest for a while. I'm glad I can finally share it with some people I trust on the internet. Thank you so much for indulging me on that one, internet. So with that said, let's move into the next question from Jacob Sawyer. What's your real name? Just first name. I don't really care about last and middle. And I want to just say it's not a secret. I guess it doesn't come up that often in videos, but if you are new to the channel, my name is Andrew. I don't hide that at all. In fact, my third channel is even called Andrew Andrews. So yeah, that is who I am. But I will say, calling me Andrew, like, you know, some YouTubers like, hey, what's up guys? It's your boy Bobby. No, I like Toycat. If you call me Toycat, you know me from the internet. It's probably a positive thing. If you know me as Toycat and you don't like me, then you're probably not going to interact with me. But if you are interacting with me and use the word Toycat, that means it's probably more familiar. Whereas, you know, Andrew is what an angry teacher or my mother would yell. Are you an angry teacher or my mother? continue to call me Andrew? Are you someone on the internet who would like to share something like a question with me? Then Toycat works just fine as far as I'm concerned. But you know what else works just fine? This question from Hookie's daddy. What sort of a question is that? What sort of a username is that? At IBX Toycat, what do you think the next Minecraft update should be after Caves and Cliffs? And you know, it feels incredibly early to answer this question. I mean, we don't even have Caves and Cliffs yet. That is still where all of my excitement is. However, you know, I'll indulge you right here just because I want to. So here's the deal. There's two ways you can approach what should Minecraft update next. One is, what do you think is missing most from the game? And the second is, what part of the game would you like to see fleshed out entirely? So what do I think is missing? I think now we have a height limit of 320 and then a bottom of minus, let's be honest, the total height limit is 384. That's just the maths behind it. Boom. So we've got a height limit of 384 only in the overworld, and I feel like that's a missed opportunity. I mean, in the end, I don't know how they'd use that, but the never being increased in height and using more vertical biomes, that seems like something that is so strongly missing. Never caves, something that feels like it's so strongly missing. End caves. This is caves and cliffs, and we don't have any form of never cliffs being updated. We don't have any form of never caves, any form of end caves or end cliffs. I don't know what end cliffs would look like, but I want them. So yeah, those are the things I feel like are most missing. If I was in charge of like, hey, go work on the missing things, I'd say make a bug update and make that. But I think what's much more exciting is I think the end as a dimension could do with some fleshing out. It's kind of the place where you kill a dragon and you get an elytra right now, which is fine, but I would like to see it be worth exploring in its own right. I would like if you had a reason to go out of those islands, and also I'd like a better way to properly traverse it, I think. Like, to get 6,000 blocks in the end, you kind of have to just fly out there yourself or make a nice island, and maybe there's something fun to that. Maybe that's what Mojang wants you to do, but it just feels a bit janky as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, I would love to see an end update if I'm picking my dream update based on what I think needs to be updated, and if I'm picking what I think is missing, what like you know, really should have been done but hasn't already, then I would pick obviously never caves and end caves. I like mining. I want to do it in every dimension. Why are we limiting me to the overworld? And I don't have an answer to that question, but I do have an answer to the next question, which is from Campbat. Is it just me who is kind of disappointed he never showed us riding the minecart track, lol? And as you can see, 16 replies, 494 likes. So you know what I'm going to do for you, Mr. Campbat? Okay, here you go. Here's me placing down a minecart and riding on the blue ice minecart way that I made in last week's Q&A. If you didn't watch that, you're probably very confused as to why so many people were excited to see this. I don't think it's the most exciting minecart yet. What the plan is I'm going to build a very long minecart, probably going all around all of these merged creative worlds, which you might recognize. I don't know, I feel like you get a fun view of the world like this. Does it need to be this needlessly convoluted? You better believe it doesn't, but if you don't make things needlessly convoluted, are they even Toycat builds? That is the question I have for all of you. But yeah, now you've seen the minecart, are you satisfied? I hope you're satisfied. So let's now jump into the next question from Yay Fly, who says, how do you feel about eating meat? I feel like you would give an interesting opinion to this, and I hate to break it to you, I don't have the most interesting opinion. I do think that, you know, eating meat is probably worse than not eating meat in a lot of places. Like, if you exclude yourself as a factor, then like definitely, right? Like in terms of environmentally, in terms of every other factor. However, I do still eat meat. A lot of people get on this track where like there is either eating meat is morally wrong and therefore you do none of it, or eating meat is therefore great, and you have to, a lot of those people need to justify it to themselves, like all the essential nutrients in meat, and there are some nutrients found in meat that are pretty hard to find elsewhere. I get that, but I don't think that it has to be this thing of like, I do the correct thing and therefore the thing that I do is correct, justifying it through to everything in your life. I think so many of our problems come from us having to insist that when we do something, it's not always because it's the best thing to do. It's embarrassing to admit that, you know, to other people. It's even more embarrassing to admit it to yourself though, right? Like, is the ideal thing you wanted to do this evening, you know, like to lay down and watch some YouTube, is that how you'd perfectly plan it? Or are you doing that because like it was hard doing whatever you have just done previously and you need to recuperate from that? Or that you just feel like you need some time to relax, and maybe watching a Q&A Saturday video will do that, you know, if we tie it into that. But like, there are tons of things I do all the time that aren't ideal, and I think beating yourself up about decisions you made in the past can be a motivating factor for the future, and sometimes we're very very effective with that. But I think we have a society that is nowadays focused on, oh, if you do something that is even slightly, not perfect, then you are something to be shamed for. The fact that we do this continuously, like we pick all these tiny points to like tear people apart on for the internet. If you think about what the concept of cancel culture is to some extent. If you like, we are going to judge people by impossibly high standards in every aspect of their life, because when you look at a single aspect, like when you look at like eating meat or not, if you live in a big city, it's really easy to not eat meat. But if you look at any individual aspect of life, of course it's really easy to do the right thing, but when it's a bunch of things piling up, that's where it gets tricky. And I think we need to see people as three-dimensional human beings, because fun fact, I'm three-dimensional. I'm not perfect in so many ways, and I'm sure I'm not alone in that, even though it's hard to admit. Even though you want to believe you're perfect and you make all these right calls all the time, there are lots of mistakes that I make, not only on like a long-term basis. Like, it was probably a mistake for me to buy an electric scooter while they're still illegal in the UK. I made some wrong assumptions, and it's embarrassing because now I have this very expensive thing. I'm sitting around waiting for it to be legal because police are actively enforcing it. And it's kind of embarrassing when you make a wrong call, but we need to maybe remove that stigma to some extent. Like, as long as you want to be a better person at some point, we shouldn't be trying to judge you by our own characteristics. As long as you're getting better by your version, and as long as that is generally better in lots of ways, we can't demand perfection from you in every aspect, because when you try to get perfection in every aspect, you generally end up with perfection in no aspects. You generally get something much more constructive from trying to help people in the ways they are. And yeah, so I do actually try to eat less meat. I do try to replace some of the meat with fish, but also I do, maybe I'm a monster for saying this, even though I think the meat is a bad thing for the environment. It's a bad thing. On like, the one that really gets me way more than I care about the environment is like, that's a life of an animal, like a cute little, a cute little animal you could pat and play fetch with. That's it sounds like I'm eating dog meat. I mean like a cow. You can play fetch with cows, by the way. It's so cute. Look into it. But like, I think I don't think you have to have. I don't think that every view in your life has to be incompatible. I think you can do easy things as well as doing good things, as long as you also do good things. If your whole life is easy, you've probably got some mistakes going on there. But I think as long as you're trying better, that's what matters. Or maybe it's not. Maybe what you think really matters is this last question, which comes in from Bridget, or Bridget, if you will. Bridget's such a confusing name, but we're not going to do it today. So those red sausages have a proper name. We just call them hot dogs. I thought they're American. Then what is a hot dog? Sincerely, a confused Australian. So I got so many comments just being like, that's just a hot dog, you dumb idiot. But apparently, for what it's worth, I looked into it, and there is a lot of different versions of this. It's distinct from a hot dog in that it's boiled, and it's also distinct from a hot dog in the way it's seasoned. It apparently comes from the Midlands of the UK, and it exists in Australia and New Zealand as a battered salve. Maybe you recognize it as that, apparently. And also, if you're from the United States, you might also recognize this. It's a type of hot dog called a red snapper. So it looks like this. Honestly, that looks distinctly different to a savloid to me, but a lot of people recognize it as being that. And so yeah, they exist all over the world in different forms, apparently. And you know what? That's the cool thing about sharing things on the internet. I thought it was British. Apparently there's versions everywhere. Now I'm a richer person for that. I don't have to be embarrassed or ashamed that I thought it was real and it wasn't. And I also don't have to be embarrassed and ashamed of you watching this video and not hitting the like button. I know, every YouTuber asks you to do it, so I'm just not going to ask you, and instead I'm going to say, I hope you have a nice Saturday, because I'll see you all tomorrow for like a big live stream event. It's going to be YouTube tips build a biome, which is kind of like the building a road thing, except significantly pickier, and probably it's going to go significantly worse. But I want to believe that we can do this, and yeah, if you want to see the weirdest live stream in a while, that will be tomorrow on the YouTube channel. Sunday, usual stream time, usual stream place. See you there. Thank you. Goodbye.